we have been covering the rules and regulations required to be followed while practicing yoga. Like if I am working for a company, there will be terms and conditions which I have to abide by. If I do not comply by that one, my appointment stands void. And so is any sports. If I am joining any sports club, there are rules and regulations are involved. If I do not comply by that one, that I will be out of the club. So is in yoga. To be able to successful in yoga, we have to follow rules and regulations. They are called as yama and niyama. Yama and niyama, by following that one, you will succeed in your practice of yoga. These yama and niyama are like the fence around the property. We need the strong fence. Otherwise, unwanted things will come and influence our life. You need to have proper fence so that you are well protected in your sadhana. And ahimsa in the yoga it says Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. Ahimsa is the highest of the dharmas. It is the pillar, it's the foundation of all sadhana. If you abide by ahimsa, you are abiding by all dharmas. If you follow everything except ahimsa, everything is a waste. And it says ahimsa, you have, by following that one, you are following all dharmas. One is, I touched upon one dimension of ahimsa. We have to contribute to the society wherever we are living in. You should not be only takers, you have to give it back. And I gave an example of soccer. While playing the soccer, you have to pass the ball towards the goal post. So is in our life, we have to pass on good things to others as we are moving towards the goal of our life. One dimension, you have to be, you should not be only the taker, you should give it back more than what you take. That is one dimension of ahimsa. Second dimension of ahimsa, I talked about it's animals. Animals also like their family. They have their children, their mother, parents, brothers, sisters. They also endure their life. And they want to exist. They want to survive only to gratify our 3 inches of tongue. If you are eating them by destroying their family, and we think we will be happy. We are the only custodian of this world. If you think that one, no right for them to live, ultimately our inner peace gets shattered. By destroying some family, how can I be happy? Slowly it will shatter my inner peace. And we have to respect other living beings also. They have right to exist. We have to respect that one. And the third dimension of ahimsa, by following ahimsa doesn't mean you become a doormat. Everyone will walk over you. In my garden, if I say I am following ahimsa, if I don't pluck the weeds out of my garden will be destroyed. I had to pull out the weeds so that garden is maintained well. If a policeman says he is following ahimsa, he won't catch any of the thieves or miscreants, society will be destroyed. If an army says they are following ahimsa, they will let anyone to come and destroy the society. They are destroying, in fact, they are destroying the society. Ahimsa means you have to, for the sake of protecting the larger population, whatever you are doing wrong, miscreants have to be dealt with. If my body, I have some disease, gangrene in my feet, it has to be chopped off to save the life. That is ahimsa. If a doctor says he or she is following ahimsa, he or she doesn't want to take off the leg, that means injustice to the whole body. And ahimsa, you have to stand up wherever required. in India, the concept of ahimsa has come from India, but they misunderstood the message of ahimsa totally, and people became passive in their life. In early 1200s, 1100, 1200s, the invaders from Middle East came and invaded, pilfered the country, and Indians, they thought they are following ahimsa. They became very passive. They looted the country. Around 1500, Britishers came and pilfered the country. In the name of ahimsa, they kept quiet. And in the name of ahimsa, ahimsa doesn't mean you become passive in your life. You have to stand up when required, where required. And Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna, in the battlefield, tells Arjuna, follow ahimsa. In the battlefield, he says you have to abide by ahimsa. Ahimsa satyam akrodha. He starts off with that one. Ahimsa, that one you have to follow. Amanitvam madambitvam ahimsa kshanti arjavam. Again he says, not once, twice, thrice he says, ahimsa samata tushti. And he talks about ahimsa again and again. You have to abide by ahimsa and fight the battle. Ahimsa, it doesn't mean it is your action is as a grudge. It's not an eye for an eye. It is not an act of grudge or a revenge. Ahimsa, to protect the good, you have to stand up. It is not out of anger, out of grudge, you are out of as a revenge, you are not doing that one. Ahimsa as a part of your duty. You have to stand up. Why we had to do that one? In the Veda, there is a mantra also. Kale varshat parjanyaha prithvi sasyashalini desho ayam kshobaraytha sajjana santu nirbhaya. This world, the good people should live in without any fear. Good people should live without any fear. And to live without any fear, and somebody should stand up. And for the sake of the good people, sake of the wider community, sake of the noble people, you have to stand up and abide by ahimsa. By ahimsa, by following, ahimsa is the paramo dharma. Ahimsa, those who follow that ahimsa, they are abiding by all dharmas in their life. If on the other token, if I do not do ahimsa, I am nothing but inviting the wrong elements into the society. Ultimately, society gets destroyed. That's why Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, you have to, in your life, you should abide by ahimsa. You should not be a cause of any problem for others. At the same time, if any wrong people are causing problem, you should be able to stand up. Otherwise, you yourself get destroyed. And for that, you have to abide by ahimsa. That is another dimension of ahimsa. Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. In the Gita, Anugita, Sri Krishna further says to Arjuna, ahimsa is like a big elephant footprint. It is so big, it encompasses camel's footprint or giraffe footprint or horse footprint or tiger footprint. It's so big. It's abiding by ahimsa, you are abiding by all dharmas. And Sri Krishna says you have to follow ahimsa. Therefore, in Yama and Niyama, in Yoga Sutra, Yama, the rules and regulations we have to follow while dealing with the world, he starts off with ahimsa. While dealing with the outer world, you abide by ahimsa. And also, ahimsa means you should be mindful of what you are eating. And late dinner, if I having a late dinner, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, it's a lot of himsa for the body. I can't sleep properly. And mindful, what is good for you? Early dinner, easily able to digest. and not to be eating for the compulsion of others. And it's you listen to your body. And at office also, the people go for coffee 10 o'clock, again 11 o'clock coffee, at 2 o'clock coffee, 3 o'clock coffee, and they say, many executives, they say, we have to drink coffee because to keep ourselves awake. Now I am young and healthy, okay, I can drink. Slowly what it is doing, it is shifting my sleep pattern. My sleep is depressed. And slowly now I have to work 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. Yes, I need energy. Coffee gives. Slowly, when I am getting older, many people struggle with sleep. Sleep is a big problem for elderly people because they were drinking too much of coffee, tea, and other intoxicants, and it destroys your sleep. Not to depend on coffee or tea for keeping yourself awake. Have, if maximum, 1 cup, and if required, and not to depend on that one. Otherwise, it will destroy your sleep. And you have to be mindful of in the long range, not in the short range. And also food, and not to eat. Doctors, they say you have to eat little by little and many meals and a little portion. But yoga says you should not eat frequently. And frequent food, it's like a cow always chewing, not be like that. And have one breakfast early in the morning and in the evening, 2 meals. Try to restrict to 2 meals, not to eat in between. See how your health improves. Most of the diseases origin from frequent eating. And it affects our gum also, molar structure, teeth also, frequent eating. And frequent eating applies a lot of load on your abdomen, and it triggers pancreas activation and minimize, reduce the frequency of your eating. And listen to your body and stand up where required. That is ahimsa. Lie down on your back.